Hello, Homestead. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence.
From Homestead Media, this is HHS In-Depth.
Welcome back to HHS In-Depth. On today's show, I'll give you an inside look at the new cafeteria upgrades, including what's still to come in the future. Then, reporter Owen Kruger informs us on this week's Spring Arts Gallery, showcasing student art around the school. Later, reporter Bella Cook brings us a story on Sonshine Christian Academy, where students can work as teachers. Finally, we'll get you all caught up on the latest in athletics with another edition of Down to the Wire. All that and so much more coming up on today's episode of HHS In-Depth.
Hello, Homestead. It's Friday, April 25th, and thank you for joining us for another episode of HHS In-Depth. I'm Bryce Lovar.
And I'm Leah Stoip. And Bryce, what with water wars and the USC Ice Bucket Challenge going on, I feel like every time I go outside, I'm in danger of getting wet.
Absolutely. And that Ice Bucket Challenge, obviously that water is cold, but I really wish that maybe we could have just a little bit warmer air to help aid with the after effects of that.
Yeah, luckily I haven't been nominated yet, but I'm also concerned about the weather and what that's going to look like. Luckily, reporter Jackson Foxworthy is in now to tell us more about the weather this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, if you have been nominated for the challenge, you might want to hold off a day because it is going to be rainy, possibly with a 50% chance of precipitation. Today, the temps will be great though, with a high of 73. Fortunately, the skies should clear up this weekend, with tomorrow being partly cloudy, seeing a high of up to 60 and a low dropping down to 40. Finally, we'll see a mostly sunny day and clear skies on Sunday, with a high reaching 66. This weekend isn't as warm as the last few days, but it is perfect for a nice run or a hike, so make sure you can enjoy it while you can. Jackson Foxworthy, HHS In-Depth.
And now we go beyond Homestead.
Pope Francis passed away at 7:35 a.m. Monday morning at the age of 88. The cause of his death has been identified as a stroke, followed by a coma and irreversible cardiocirculatory collapse. Francis, who was introduced on March 13, 2013 as the 266th Pope, served 12 years in his position, leading the 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide. He was best known for championing the poor and marginalized, promoting unity among Catholics and other religious groups, and addressing climate concerns. His funeral will be held at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Looking at Indiana, Indianapolis is beginning to gear up for the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500 on May 25th this year. Being the largest single-day sporting event in the world, the city sees an influx of over 400,000 people. Street signs named after drivers have already begun going up, and just last week, former NFL star Rob Gronkowski was named this year's Snake Pit Grand Marshal. 34 cars were already on track Wednesday and yesterday for over 15 hours as drivers prepare and practice for the greatest spectacle in racing. The race will be preceded by the Sancio Grand Prix, which runs in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course on Saturday, May 10th.
Thank you, Bryce, for some news outside the walls of Homestead. From specialized classrooms to the media center, we've seen many new areas open up this semester. One of the last remaining construction projects is the Cafeteria Renovation. Last week, I got the inside scoop on what the changes are and how they affect you during lunch.
Long lines are a common sight in the cafeteria, but a new line is under construction behind the scenes.
Eventually, we're going to have a lot more options when this part's open. We're going to kind of double in size, I think.
Besides another line, there will soon be smoothies and coffee available for order at the express lane, and what you see right behind me won't be under construction much longer. It will be a courtyard with outdoor seating. But these upcoming features come at a cost.
Sometimes it does get a little bit cluttered, a little bit crowded, just because there's so many people deciding maybe they want this, but then they change their mind, and so they have to jump out of the line, and then there's some people who cut other people in the line, and it makes it take twice as long.
Thankfully, our lunch ladies have some tips to make this process easier for everyone. Make sure to respect others in line, know what you want, and pay attention to your surroundings.
It's just going to take time to get used to all of the changes that are taking place right now. But in the long run, I believe that it will be much better for everyone.
The wait is almost over. Leah Stoip, HHS In-Depth.
Thank you for the story, Leah. Stick around, more HHS In-Depth is coming up next.
If you've been on any form of social media in the past couple weeks, you have likely seen your classmates participating in the USC Speak Your Mind Ice Bucket Challenge. So what does it mean? The Speak Your Mind Ice Bucket Challenge was made by the University of South Carolina's Mental Illness Needs Discussion Group, or MIND. The challenge's mission is to normalize talking about mental health struggles and suicide prevention. But why the ice water? MIND has adapted the format of the original 2014 Ice Bucket Challenge that was started to raise money for ALS research. They have chosen to start up the challenge again with the same rules, but for a new cause, mental health. As the ice water was meant to represent how ALS felt physically, it's now meant to represent the shocking feeling of mental struggles. If you want to donate to the Speak Your Mind cause, you can visit support.activeminds.org or look for USC Mind on Instagram. If you've participated in the challenge, even though the water may have been freezing cold, just know it was helping a great cause.
Welcome back to HHS In-Depth.
This past Tuesday, Homestead faculty gathered for an important announcement during their regularly scheduled meeting. Current Superintendent Dr. DeKonig, incoming Superintendent Dr. St. John took the opportunity to officially introduce the next principal of Homestead High School, Mr. Adam Swinford, who comes to us from Fort Wayne Community Schools and will take over in July for Mrs. Summers, who announced her retirement following the school year 2 months ago.
I think the biggest thing is, learning and meeting everybody. Homestead has a lot of students, a lot of staff, and probably the biggest thing year one will be just to get to know everybody and what Homestead values. What traditions are here and what things can we continue to do and what things can we do better. I'm a firm believer in things happen for a reason, and it was something that I've loved my time at Fort Wayne Community Schools, and it was time for a change, and I was familiar with the community. My wife and I lived here when our daughters were young and lived here for over 20 years. So we know what this community is about. We've always enjoyed raising our kids here. Getting to come back to a place that we've known about for so long and has such a good tradition of excellence was very appealing.
This past Wednesday night, the National Honor Society held its annual coffee house as part of the Spring Arts Week. The event was open to all community members to come, drink some coffee, and watch some great performances. Students had the opportunity to perform on stage, singing songs, reading poems, and playing instruments to both an audience of students and adults. Volunteers from NHS organized the entire event and served beverages and snacks throughout the event. While the event was free, they were able to raise funds through coffee sales, and all proceeds raised were donated to the Homestead Art Department.
Last week, 19 Homestead students from the Health Occupations Students of America Club attended the 3-day State Leadership Conference, where students competed in live events and attended an award ceremony. With over 2,000 participants from around the state, 6 Homestead students placed in the top 10 in 5 different categories, and sophomore Ricken Kavuru qualified for the national competition in June. This is an impressive achievement for a club that just started this January, led by founder Andrew McGillivray and co-president Shami Boda.
This year we wanted to go even though we had little preparation because of the fact that I wanted to make sure that me and Shami had some insight into what HOSA actually is, and we wanted that experience to tell other members to get involved in.
Juniors and seniors, check your Canvas announcements for links to complete several surveys today during Spartan 40. The purpose of these surveys is to reflect on the Junior Achievement Career Fair last Thursday, where high schoolers from around the city gathered at the Memorial Coliseum. This event fulfilled state requirements for graduation and gave students the opportunity to network with professionals in the areas of employment, enrollment, and enlistment, and entrepreneurship.
Class of 2025 students, due to a delivery delay, cap and gown orders will now be available for pickup during all lunches on both Wednesday, April 30th and Thursday, May 1st. Jostens reps will be in the cafeteria commons from 11:12 a.m. to 12:42 p.m. both of those days. If you're not on campus during lunch, check in at door 1 to pick up your order and door 33 if you graduated early. If you can't make it, have a family member grab it for you.
Last week, Homestead hosted a mixed concert featuring performances from all of our bands and orchestras, but one group stole the spotlight in a big way. Marshall Jensen and Ryan Branscombe created their own band completely on their own with no teacher guidance. They called it the DCI Band.
I was bored of the traditional music that we play, like classical. So I decided, and I talked to Ryan, that we should start a band that only plays DCI music.
Well, when Marshall asked me about this whole thing, after I saw the Instagram post and after we had done a bunch of talking, my job was I pretty much wrote the whole thing.
The outcome was most definitely what I wanted. I was a little fearful going into the concert about how well we were going to do, but overall I'm very happy.
Congrats to Marshall, Ryan, and every member of the DCI Band for making history right here at Homestead.
Homestead Spanish students are headed to Spain for Spring Break 2026, and there's still time to join them. A few spots remain on the trip, so if you're interested, contact Senor Peeper at the email address below for more information. Students must be enrolled in Spanish 2 or higher during the 2025-26 school year to be eligible.
Spartan seniors, new scholarships have been added to the HHS scholarships page, including the Mark Nee Memorial Scholarship, which is exclusively offered to a Homestead High School graduating senior. Many scholarships have deadlines in the next few weeks.
If you haven't ordered your 2025 yearbook yet, now's the time. Extra copies are limited, so grab yours before they're gone at yearbookforever.com. And while you're thinking about memories, they want to see yours. Do you have a great promposal pic, or did you and your friends keep the prom night fun going with post-prom activities like bowling or going to the movies? Send your stories and photos to Mrs. Barrett at the email address shown below.
Did you make it to an academic team competition this year? Don't worry, there is still time to go and support the team and get a great meal. Join the academic team for dinner at Casa on Jefferson next Tuesday, April 29th from 5 to 9 p.m. Casa will generously donate a portion of their sales to the Homestead academic team.
SAD Club invites you to join this year's Easter egg hunt. Your 5th period teacher has hidden an egg somewhere in your classroom. Find it for a fun surprise. If yours has a gold token, you're one of 2 lucky winners. Bring the token to the SAD meeting on May 5th after school in room A 1057 to claim your prize. Happy hunting.
As you've walked the halls recently, you may have noticed drawings, clothing, pottery, and more, all created by our very own Spartan artists. The Spring Arts Gallery returned this past week, giving these students a well-deserved spotlight and helping to strengthen Homestead's growing visual arts program. HHS In-Depth reporter Owen Kruger has more on this annual celebration of creativity.
The gallery, being as large as it is, requires lots of assistance and preparation. But this year, with a constantly changing setting, there was an additional need for problem solving.
The students help out quite a bit to curate and place the work both 2-dimensionally and 3-dimensionally. Our setup has changed because of the construction. So it's like reinventing the wheel a bit every year and trying to figure out how all the pieces fit.
As you would assume, every visual arts class is involved with this event. However, there are certain family and consumer science classes that are included as well. Fashion, interior design, and graphical design are just a few of them. The wide array of students included in this event allows many of the school's artists to be properly represented.
I think it is a super important thing for all of the students to have the chance to showcase their artwork to an outside audience. It's always nerve-wracking to have people looking at your work critically and making comment or making judgment. And it's a part of the artistic process that we all have to experience.
Changes in funding for our school has put a strain on the event, which makes any support all the more important.
Within the gallery, we're going to be having some art for sale, and our Spartomatic, our mini art dispenser, all as a fundraiser for our visual arts department to provide necessary equipment, and so that we can really continue to provide a really rich experience for students.
Although the gallery won't be around all year long, the positive impact it creates by celebrating the work of our peers will only better the culture of our school. Owen Kruger, HHS In-Depth.
Thank you for the story, Owen. After school each day, a few Homestead students head down the street to Sonshine Academy, not to learn, but to teach. These students spend their afternoons working as preschool teachers, gaining real-world experience in the classroom. HHS In-Depth reporter Bella Cook has the story.
Working here, I feel that I really gained the experience of working hands-on with kids and learning classroom management skills and just things that are important when I become a teacher. I feel like it definitely does give me good experience for the future because it helps me learn how to work around and work with different learning styles, whether that be hands-on or through listening. I would absolutely recommend this job for other students. It is fantastic. The people who work here are amazing, and obviously working with kids is the best part.
Many Homestead students have used this as a valuable tool to get their foot in the door to teaching. Even the manager is a Homestead alumni who worked here during high school.
I started when I was a sophomore. I did the Future Teachers program, and so I came here for class, and then they offered me a position.
If this opportunity excites you, there are plenty of ways to get involved. Whether you're eager to learn more, gain hands-on experience, or take the first step towards something bigger, here's how you can make that connection and start your journey.
Just reach out and apply. If you have a heart for working with children and have the availability, we're usually pretty flexible and open to working with the high schoolers to get their foot in the door and get them to where they want to be.
This incredible opportunity provides aspiring teachers with invaluable hands-on experience, helping them to build essential skills for their future career. From mentoring young minds to gaining real-world classroom experience, students get to put their passion for education into action. Bella Cook, HHS In-Depth.
Thank you for the story, Bella. Stick around, more HHS In-Depth is coming up next.
Looking ahead to next week, Monday brings a warm-up with partly cloudy skies and a high of 81, dipping to a mild 68 at night. On Tuesday, expect some afternoon thunderstorms with a high of 79 and a low of 57, so keep that umbrella handy just in case. Wednesday cools off a bit, turning mostly cloudy with a high of 65 and a low of 48. Thursday stays comfortable and partly cloudy with highs around 66 and lows near 51. All in all, it's a week with a little something for everyone. Sunshine, warmth, and refreshing spring showers, so don't forget to take a moment to step outside and enjoy the fresh air.
Next week, reporter Kaya Nome brings us a story over a Homestead student taking her love of songwriting to the next level. Be sure to catch that story and much more next week on HHS In-Depth.
Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm Josh Bobe. Since this is our first Down to the Wire of the spring sports season, let's get a rundown on all of our sports teams so far this year, starting with baseball. The Homestead Spartans baseball team is off to a blazing 9-1 start in 2025, climbing to number 4 in the state. Their wins include beating multiple top 5 ranked teams. The secret? Dominant pitching. Opponents are hitting just .199, and over half of all outs have come via strikeout. Standout pitchers are Luke Nysonger, who had 14 Ks in 5 innings last week. Jacob Erb and Mason Gutman also have a strong presence. The Spartans hit the field again tomorrow for a doubleheader at South Bend Adams. Good luck. Staying on the diamond, softball is 4-2 overall, with a tough loss this past Tuesday. But on Monday, they dominated as they beat Huntington North 18-0 in just 5 innings. The girls are back in action tonight at Norwell and tomorrow back at home for a doubleheader versus Northrop. Both our boys and girls track and field competed this past Saturday at the Marion Relays. Starting with the boys side, they got third of 9 total teams with 2 total first place finishes in the 110 hurdles and the 3200 meter. On the girls' side of the track, they got first place out of 9 total teams with 5 total first place finishes. Both the girls and boys track and field teams are back on the track tonight at Carmel and tomorrow at Pike. Another Homestead team is off to a hot start in the boys golf team. On Saturday, they went to the Boys Golf Don Dickens Classic at Warsaw. They ended in first place out of 14 teams. They get back in the links tomorrow at the Lake Central Classic. Girls tennis is off to a quick 2-0 start to the season, getting that second win this Wednesday, crushing Norwell 5-0. The girls are back in action tomorrow for the Carmel Invitational at Todd Whitkins Tennis Center. This past Tuesday, the men's volleyball team went to Carroll for a rematch after losing 3-2 earlier this season at home. This one ended in the 5th set with a dub 16-14. This win moves their record to an impressive 13-2 with their next game tomorrow in the Noblesville Invite. Lastly, we want to end down the wire with the athletes of the week. Please come down to the athletics office to claim your prize. Last week's winners were Will Karshner from baseball and Aubrey Snyder from track and field. And now for this week's winners, Eli Hallman from volleyball and Maddie Rogers from softball. Congratulations to everyone, and make sure to come pick up your prize from the athletics office. That'll wrap up this week's edition of Down to the Wire. Make sure to follow Homestead Athletics on both Instagram and Twitter for updates on Homestead-related sports news. Josh Bobe, HHS In-Depth. Back to you, Leah and Bryce.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you all for watching our show today.
Make sure to follow our socials to keep up with the latest news from Homestead Media.
We look forward to seeing you again next week for another episode of HHS In-Depth.
Have a great weekend, Homestead.